Hello trader, welcome back to another daily trade analysis looking at DXY, Euro dollar and British pound US dollar. Three of these instruments currently showing significant trading opportunity on the lower time frame. Now, before we look at how we can trade, first let's look at the bigger picture starting with DXY to see how the market is potentially evolving. You guys have seen that previous analysis on DXY. This is what exactly mentioned. There is a doji here on the 4-hour time frame, which we have seen that there was a sharp rejection to this support level. Later, the market has bounced for a pullback. Currently, the price again started to move back in the major direction of the trend. Before we look at where we can look for the price to be heading, first let's look at bigger picture again to see the overall direction in this market. Looking at monthly chart on DXY, you can see that from the monthly, the prices from this monthly resistance has grabbed that liquidity, and we can see the price has got that rejection back below again from that level. Now with that rejection from the monthly, expecting the market potentially to break below this low here to create a new lower low. As if you look at the weekly chart here, we can see the price from the weekly perspective has crossed this previous weekly narrow doji. This is what exactly expected. Also, in our previous weekly forex forecast, we can see the market has crossed this high from the weekly. This is a very high liquidity zone, and from that liquidity zone, the price has got that rejection back below here. And with that rejection, the market now potentially moving back below, we could see that the market to potentially create a new lower low after this potential correction is over. So that being said, if we look at the intraday time frame and the daily chart here, we can see from the daily there is a also sharp liquidity grab here on DXY. And with this liquidity grab, the market has formed this long week daily candle, followed by, we can see that every day the market is forming series of lower high and lower low. Now looking at the 4-hour chart here on DXY, we can see that from the 4-hour perspective, there is a 4-hour doji. This 4-hour doji that we can see a sharp rejection from the high. This is an important level of resistance that we have seen. DXY has made a stronger liquidity grab, followed by 4-hour doji, followed by this pullback. Here we can see the market has formed double top. With the double top, the price has created this bearish engulfer. And what we can see that after this bearish engulfer, the market is grabbing liquidity from the resistance and rejecting back below, showing that the probability for DXY potentially to be bearish here. This is an important level of support here, that what we could see that DXY potentially to trend back down here, drop to that level, or even possibly to create a new lower low in this market. That being said, euro dollar, we could see just the mirror effect of DXY. Again, looking at monthly on euro dollar, we can see that after break of this previous monthly low here on euro USD, the market has made its move back to the upside here with this stronger impulse to the upside on the monthly. Euro dollar currently approaching this previous monthly high here, which is an important level of resistance, expecting the market to cross that high to create a new higher high in this market. Looking at weekly perspective here on euro dollar, we can see that from the weekly, this is weekly support level where the market has crossed that low, grabbed the liquidity, got that rejection with this weekly long week candle, followed by, we can see a narrow candlestick pattern on the weekly. This week, after initial pullback to this 10 EMA, the market has started to bounce back here again to create a potentially new higher high in this market on the weekly, expecting the price to potentially go ahead and then to create a new higher high. Now if we look at the daily chart here, what we can see from the daily time frame, this is the daily price action, where the price from this support level, we have seen there was a breakdown here on the daily, completely has penetrated this key level of daily support with one single move that has given a stronger liquidity trigger, followed by, we can see now daily uptrending market structure formation here in this market. Here is the move followed by this pullback, and the move followed by deeper pullback. The market is maintaining that series of higher high and higher low, which is in an uptrending market. Looking at the 4-hour chart here on euro dollar, we can see that this market showing bullish trend continuation pattern here, where there is an impulse correction. The market is maintaining that bullish market structure here, expecting the price to potentially drop here for a pullback and then to continue to rise here to create a new higher high. This is where we will be looking for potential entry opportunity on euro dollar. Now looking at British pound US dollar to see, we can see that similar kind of price action on GBPUSD, as both of these instruments are USD pairs. And if we look at the monthly chart here on British pound US dollar, we can see that from the monthly, this is the monthly support level here, where there is an important bounce back to the upside on the monthly on British pound US dollar, giving a very high probability that this market potentially to bounce back here to create a new higher high in this market. Looking at weekly perspective here, we can see that from the weekly also showing that it's a bull market. We can see that here is the drop here from the weekly to this key level of support, and with that support the market has made its move back to the upside with a stronger momentum, showing that British pound US dollar may potentially continue to trend back here to create a new higher high. Looking at the daily chart here on GBPUSD, we can see that from the daily perspective, this is the daily impulse, narrow correction, another impulse, again another correction. The market is maintaining that series of higher high and higher low on British pound US dollar, maintaining a potential uptrend here to cross that high potentially to create a new higher high. Looking at the 4-hour chart here on British pound US dollar, we can see that from this intraday perspective, GBPUSD maintaining that uptrending market structure. Here is, we can see there was a stronger liquidity grab from this 4-hour time frame on GBPUSD, giving a very high probability that this market potentially continue to trend back here to create a new higher high. This is the previous resistance where we might see GBPUSD continue to rise. Therefore, as soon as we see suitable entry opportunity after a pullback here on GBPUSD, we'll be looking to go long with a high probability trade setup. Traders, if you enjoy this education and analysis, make sure you give a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done yet. Thank you, and I'll see you soon in my next analysis.